Hello everyone, Miss Elizabeth here for First Congregational Church of Muskegon Confirmation Class. For today's video lesson, we go back to Unit 1, the unit in our curriculum focused on the path and teachings of Jesus. Our lesson today is the Palm Sunday story of Anna and the donkey. It gives a good example of how any act of selflessness is an act of courage. As we practice in small ways, we become more aware of our true nature, and we strengthen our capacity to take on bigger challenges with the selfless love and courage that is a reflection of our true self. We're following the Progressive Christianity curriculum that First Congregational Church has purchased, although we do not own the copyright to this material. Our affirmation is, I find my true self when I put others first. In previous lessons about willpower and living courageously, the emphasis was on discovering the courage that exists within our divine nature. The Easter story of Jesus shows how courage in the face of ignorance and fear is ultimately an expression of true selfless love. His appearance in Jerusalem, despite the threats against him, was not a grand gesture to show how brave he was, but a selfless act of friendship and love. His life was an expression of love for all people, and he lived each day as a messenger of that light. Listen to this Bible passage. When they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this, the Lord needs them, and he will send them immediately. This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet, saying, Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey. The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt, and put their cloaks on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and that followed were shouting, Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven. When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, Who is this? The crowds were saying, This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee. That passage was from the book of Matthew, chapter 21, verses 1 through 11. The word Hosanna probably came from different words in the Hebrew and the Greek languages. Over the centuries, the meaning changed, and it became a shout of hope and exultation. Later, it was used by people when Jesus came into Jerusalem, as we just heard. It meant they were happy and praising God and excited because they believed that Jesus would free them from their troubles. They were full of hope and joy to see Jesus come, even when the priests did not want him there. Here are some quotes about finding the courage to live as our truest selves. Risk anything. Care no more for the opinions of others, for those voices. Do the hardest thing on earth for you. Act for yourself. Face the truth. That was from Catherine Mansfield. Here's another one. Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive. The risk to be alive and express what we really are. That was from Miguel Angel Ruiz. And from an author who is on my top 10 list, Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and famous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in all of us. And when we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And this last one, from a Spanish proverb, Vivir con miedo es como vivir a medias. A life lived in fear is a life half lived. And that was said by a character named Fran in the movie Strictly Ballroom. So think about your true self. Imagine a warm, bright light inside you that grows and fills every part of your body. Every time you help someone else, whether it's a person or an animal, and put your own needs aside for them, that light within you gets stronger and brighter. Keep visualizing that light of your true self while I read you this story. Anna and the Donkey. Anna lived in a small village outside the big city of Jerusalem. Anna's father made strong and beautiful pots to sell, and her mother wove colorful blankets and shawls. Sometimes they went into Jerusalem to sell their work, but usually they set up shop by the road that led into the city. There were always people traveling on the road, and business was good. Anna loved to sit out by the road and imagine where all the travelers came from. She had only been to the city once and never further from her village than the river. Seeing people from exotic places stirred up Anna's imagination and made life exciting. Lately, she had been too busy caring for the new baby donkey to get out to the road. Her parents and big brothers didn't have time to brush it every day or talk softly into its big ears when it got a bit nervous. Anna was the only one who knew about the spot on its nose that needed a delicate scratch sometimes. The donkey was bigger now, and Anna was proud to say it was healthy and gentle due to her loving care. She had been looking forward to seeing the travelers who came to the city for Passover, but then her brother injured his leg falling from their wagon, and now she had to do his chores too. And there was no time for daydreams about faraway places. Anna angrily swept the stable, thought about how unfair things were. The colt and its mother were tied outside the stable while Anna finished cleaning the stall. She was back in the shadows when she saw strangers approach and talk with her father. To her dismay, they untied the donkey and walked away. The colt stayed next to its mother and followed them out to the road. Anna quickly ran and asked her father, "Father, why are those men taking our donkeys?" "The teacher has need of them, Anna. It will be all right," her father explained gently. That was all he would say. Anna didn't understand, and she ran after the men with tears of outrage stinging her eyes. Her brother's chores, and now this? She could just barely keep the colt in sight as they joined the many people and carts on the busy road. The men eventually joined others and offered the donkey to the one who was their teacher. Anna stayed out of sight but watched what happened next. After the donkey was draped with robes, the teacher rode the donkey toward the city gates while the others walked beside. The colt stayed close to its mother all the way. The teacher seemed gentle and kind to Anna, so she was even more confused about why he had taken her donkey. She overheard someone say, "Some people say he has been blessed by God." Then someone else said, "This man says anyone can know God, even Gentiles and those who have made mistakes and done bad things. He also says that we do not have to go to the temple to know God. Can you believe that? I've heard that the priests are very angry with him." Anna was thinking about why the teacher would go into the city where the priests were angry with him when she noticed the crowds were getting larger and many people seemed to be shouting and singing. They were laying palm branches on the road and saying, "Hosanna." They seemed to be celebrating, but she wasn't sure what or why. She felt her heart beat faster, and she almost shouted too, but she didn't want the men to know that she was following the colt. She moved along with the crowds through the city gates and fought to stay near the colt. The teacher then stopped and got off the donkey. The people were still calling and waving branches in the air. Anna was surprised to see the teacher look into the donkey's eyes and say something only the beast could have heard. She was even more surprised to see him stroke the little donkey and tenderly scratch the special spot that only Anna knew about. He looked through the crowds in her direction before walking into the city with his friends. Anna quickly ran to the donkey and grabbed the rope. The colt nuzzled her side, grateful to see and smell someone familiar. She was almost hoping the teacher would come back, but she turned the donkeys around and started the long walk home before he could return for the animals. She got home late in the evening, exhausted and hungry. Anna put the donkeys in their stalls and was going to her comfortable bed when the teacher's face came into her mind. Somehow, she knew he wouldn't head for bed when there was work to do. So, Anna made sure her brother's chores were all done, and then she drew water from the well for her mother. Her heart was happy when she went inside. Well, Hosanna. Happy Palm Sunday. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. It'll be Easter Sunday.